Felicitations! Welcome to me and my show. Welcome to me? What did that make any sense? I'm so happy to be here with a dear friend who I've known a long time, Mark Sheppard. So this is a wonderful live podcast. I appreciate everybody on Twitch watching live and anybody who's listening later. After our interview for the Twitch audience, I'll be playing around with my Lenormand deck and telling some fortunes. Hopefully not pulling coffin cards for people like I did last time, and then playing some Fortnite with jars. So anyway, it's a lot. I'm going to bring Mark Sheppard onto the stage, and if you guys want to ask any questions, please leave them in the chat, and my wonderful mods will try to pick them out. But other than that, we're just going to spend a wonderful hour with a wonderful person, Mark Sheppard.
Hey there, Felicia. How are you, my darling?
I'm really happy to see you.
You too.
It has been a while. It's been too long, man.
Well, we've been, we sort of lost a year and a half no matter what. And we usually intersect with each other either in Comic-Con or other fun places like that.
I come in again having play dates with your kiddo.
True. You're welcome.
Lovely wife.
We're all fully vaccinated. Where'd you go?
I don't know. I have this new camera. Well, I have this new Elgato camera, which is really nice, as you can see, but I clearly didn't prop it up properly.
You know what? Though some very clever person is going to pull up every single one of those frames and see what you didn't see whenever that dropped to the floor.
You know, the only thing you're going to see is a very dirty floor and some, I don't know about you, but I have the privilege of being sent free stuff. You actually get much better free stuff than I do. I'll get like a basketball hoop with HBO Max on it, or like some Magic the Gathering cards. And you seem to get like guitars and bikes and things. I don't know how do you work it, man?
Well, the weird thing is I've never been that guy. I mean, I remember when I was playing drums, well, I guess from the age of 12 onwards, I worked in a drum shop, so I had discount for some of the things I had. But the equipment that I use is always expensive. There's a lot of disposable things with drums, sticks and skins, stuff like that. And I just, I know what the best stuff in the world is, and I've been lucky enough to buy it whenever I could afford it. And years later, the logical thing is when I became somebody who had a profile both in music and in what we do, it was just a logical progression to express my loyalty to the people that I've actually been working with for 40 odd years. So Zildjian and Remo and DW are the greatest companies in the world. There are no better companies in those fields. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud to be sort of that weird guy that doesn't go around saying, what are you going to give me for free? But just has always used the same products. I mean, I'm a massive Fender fan. Fender have been so good to me over the years. My kids playing both bass and keyboards, and he's at 21. He's massively rocking a bass, and Fender facilitated him. It's not usually free stuff that I get because the stuff that I like costs way too much money.
Of course.
But
it's nice to have that relationship, and they throw in
Ducatis. But they reward loyalty. They've always rewarded loyalty, and it's something that's missing in a lot of things nowadays. Like I'm on HBO Max, by the way. I'm on HBO
I have a basketball hoop here. They sent me.
Great. They don't send me anything. They have never sent me a thing.
I will give this to you. It's literally sitting. Okay, I'll show you what I got. No, I'm going to show you, Mark. Okay, I got. Okay.
We'll keep ourselves entertained while we're waiting.
I'm showing you this because I refuse. I refuse. Okay. I'm going to show you this. Okay. I got a basketball hoop. Okay. Right. A basketball hoop that I really don't want. It's pretty. It's not that great. Okay.
It's mine.
Then we've got it's a s'mores pack, but it's been there for 2 weeks. So I don't think I'm going to actually use the s'mores, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so that's another thing. Let's see what else I got.
I have watched you do this for years, and the thing I have so much respect for you about is that when it's difficult enough being an actor in this town, it is difficult enough, and we've all been part of that gurney wheel where we're young and we were fighting against top people for top jobs, seriously top jobs, big jobs. And then for whatever reason, well, you're a lot prettier than me, but I'm saying for whatever reason,
you work a lot more than me, Mark.
Well, the weird thing is that is a perception that a lot of people have. But the truth is, is talent isn't always the given. There is also, and especially nowadays, there's exposure and everything else. And why I absolutely am in awe of what you've done over the last few years is that you built yourself a world around the people who support you the most. And that's, you've never been jaded. There's nothing you've ever done that's ever been anti-fan. I hate that word, fanatic. But that's the thing. And it's the same thing with the loyalty you're talking with me with Ducati or even with Aston Martin and people like that. It's like loyalty is worth way more than clicks. It really is. And if you know what companies you like to work with, and you know what studios and what networks you like to work with, and what game studios you like to work with, and you've always been really, really savvy about positioning yourself in a place where they weren't necessarily able to take massive advantage of you. Right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm like a little bird. I like to be, I like to be in somebody's open hands in a cage. And every time I get too involved in the Hollywood thing, I'm like, you're not happy here. You got, yeah, it's not my thing. So I appreciate that. I also got a bead kit for Summer Together, HBO Max.
I literally am on HBO Max on one of the coolest shows I've ever been on in my life, and they have sent me nothing. That I have to literally call up and say, can I actually get to see an episode? Or do I have to wait? It's
yeah. So this is okay. You know what? I'm going to drive to your house and I'm going to give you the pièce de résistance. It is Space Jam branded family size mac and cheese Space Jam. Okay. Look at that. Look at that. It doesn't even look, the box is so badly designed that you can't even tell what's the front and the back. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I'm like, is this the front? Is this the front?
Well, it's the smiley face. They're going for the smiley face at the front there.
Yeah, I don't know what the theme is. It looks like it just has a basketball and a rabbit. But I'm like, where's this guy? Huh?
Yeah,
I would want to be made in noodle form.
I'd love to be made in noodle. I've been made in everything from pillow form to, you've got Funkos. I got Funkos.
Yes.
That was the other things. I had no Funkos. And there's this lovely girl that works at Funko. Certainly is. I don't know if she's still there now, but she was so annoyed by the fact that I didn't have a Funko and she worked there. So she decided to make one and told the bosses, this is ridiculous. You need to make one. And it became this massive thing at Comic-Con where Misha made me, everybody else had a Funko and I didn't. So he made me one out of a Star
I remember that.
But you know, it was a piece of broccoli,
yeah,
some tin foil and some popsicle sticks. And it became this thing. And then eventually they made one. And now I've got like, I don't have anything for Firefly. I don't have anything, you know, they made, oh my God, they made a plastic model of me for Firefly. And I look like Dick Van Dyke. But with Jay Leno's chin, I have the longest face you've ever seen. I'm like, that doesn't even look like me. It's not even
There's nothing worse than having like, you're so excited. They make a maquette of you and then you're just like, who is this person? Who is this face? There was one, they did this huge standee. I think it was QMX, and God bless them. They really tried. And I went and I was like, just let me come in and model my face for you, because this is a attractive person. It is nowhere resembles my face at all. Not even the same color eyes. I was like, guys. So they did a great job and they modeled the face and everything. But it's very hard.
They live in their own, a lot of them live in their own world and assume that we don't actually want to be part of it. Whereas we're vain enough that we'd like, at least like it to represent us in some way.
I know. And you do video game. Have you ever done a video game character that kind of looked like you? Or do you usually just voice a character that's kind of already done and you kind of put your...
There've been a couple of opportunities to mocap or do that stuff, but it hasn't happened in that way. The stuff, I just had fun doing the most amazing experience. Because I did a lot of promo stuff over the years. Like I was doing Doctor Who, right? And I was with the head of BBC America walking in a lake in Utah, Lake Powell, I think. And it was something, he goes like, do you do promos? I'm like, no, not really. He goes, do you want to? I'm like, sure. So I ended up being the voice of BBC America for about 3 years.
Are you kidding?
Until they found somebody
cheaper. How do you get this? You seem to stumble. Here, I think you just get yourself in the right company and you stumble into amazing opportunities, because you just rattled off Firefly, Supernatural, Doctor Who, several other, Battlestar. You've been you were in Warehouse 13. You were in Leverage. Like you've been on every single, thank you for the gift subs, everybody. You have been on every single major show. How do you, I still haven't gotten the Mark Sheppard magic.
How do you know what it is?
Yeah, what is it?
I'll tell you what it is. Look, we're all talented. Us and our friends. We know those of us that can actually do a job when they get a job. All right. If you
Yeah.
take that as a given, and the rest of it is about taste, for example, that's it. All right. Okay. I have been so lucky that the writers, and this is the writers who are now executive producers, the writers who were writers that became executive producers, had experiences with me when I was guest starring in something, and decided to write me into something. And Javier Grillo-Marxuach, one of my favorite people on the planet,
Oh,
who
he's so
introduced me to Naren
incredible.
Shankar, who introduced me to Ron Moore. These are all
Oh,
people who have written for me.
yeah.
Javier he's a god as far as I'm concerned. He's a wonderful, wonderful writer.
He
But
did the
like
middle, right? The middle?
but he did
Not
Middleman,
the middleman.
Middleman.
That's it.
But
Oh, that was
he
such
has
a good show.
He has Emmys for the Dark Crystal, which he just did, and
Oh,
he
so
has
good.
I know I love him. I think he's one of the most talented human beings I've ever met. But I used to, when I was on Battlestar, which was, I showed up in Ron's kitchen because his Wi-Fi wasn't working. He's like, "Can you come fix my Wi-Fi?" I said, "Sure." So I rode over to Altadena and worked on his Wi-Fi. And he said, "Oh, I have something for you." And I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "3 episodes of Battlestar. I think you'll like it. It's not like anything else you've ever done." And I found out later that the mandate he had given Michelangelo, the writer, who had never met me, was that he kept saying to Angelo, he goes, "Do more, Mark can do more." And so I ended up with this script. He just hands me the script. And I'm like, holy crap. And it's
Wow.
27 pages of dialogue in my first thing.
Wow.
And the weirdest thing was I was walking onto a show that everybody had been there for 3 years. And sorry about spoilers, too late. I mean, years too late. But Starbuck had just died in the episode before. Starbuck had just died. So I went to a set that was basically a moratorium that nobody knew this was happening. And I walked in there and they're like, "Who did you whatever to get this job?" Because it's poetry. It was literally 27 pages of poetry.
Wow.
It was the most fantastic experience. And then you've got John Rogers, who, Amy Berg and John Rogers were both on.
I love both of them.
And Dean, but I used to show Battlestar at my house whenever I did an episode, and I'd invite everyone over, and it was all writers and not that I don't know that many actors. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a sulky bastard.
No, I don't know. I don't know a lot of actors either. Like I would say that most of the people I hang out with are other writers, and that's kind of you are like a writer's actor. I think a lot of people they just can't wait. You have such a somebody said it in chat. Like you have such a distinctive personality and look and attitude. It's just you walk on, and you don't have to explain your character. You just are a character, and I think that's something that a lot of actors are afraid of doing. They're afraid of just being them, like bringing so much because they want to be a little bit malleable. But in fact, you being you gives yourself a lot more opportunities because you make it easy for the writer to write for you.
Well, the most amazing thing is, I mean, I can't even list the amount of writers that I truly love that I've worked for. I can remember the last time I worked for a writer who I wanted to kill. And I think that was on Mantis.
I don't know what that show is.
I was given a script. Carl Lumley was a superhero, and being directed by Kim Manners, who was the great Kim Manners, who went on to be show running Supernatural. And Kim had to direct me on an episode where I had lines like "the chrysostolic dawn of the cyberspatial age." Amazing what you did your job with neural something technology. Amazing what you did with those patents. And poor Carl Lumley, who's a wonderful actor, was literally looking at me going, "You poor bastard. I don't know how you are saying this stuff." And they would write me these pages of crap with nothing in the middle, just these pages of crap. And I remember the name of Carlton Eastlake III wrote it. That's who it was. And he wrote this, and then they gave me cherry pages, which if you know anything about scripts is probably what the 26.
I don't think I've ever seen cherry pages before.
I've been to double cherry on some shows, trust me. And with cherry pages, somebody decided to take the middle of a speech out that was a page and a half long. And I couldn't delete it from my head.
Well, yeah, of course you can't. If you memorize something like that, especially if it's such a big chunk, it's just like, hey guys, can you just let me do it and edit it out later? It takes 30 seconds, but it's going to mess me up more if you take the words away. And now I have to mentally like jump a page.
Well, Jack over on Warehouse 13, it was funny. They had this scene with the head of the Regions, and it was CCH Pounder, Saul Rubinek, and me. And it's 9 pages, and it had to be shot in one day. And I went, "Oh, who talks a lot? Let's get Sheppard." It was literally an offer to go and do a scene that established
Oh
this
my
character.
god. I mean, that is
So
kind of, but I mean, I have to say that a lot of the roles that were written for me, I just have tons of exposition of science dialogue, and then the series regulars are sitting there going, interesting theory. Yeah, I can see that. Well, we'll go down there. Let's go. Like they don't have to do any memorization. They're just like, I love it.
my Javier and I were doing The Middleman, doing an episode of The Middleman. There was an actor on it, which will remain nameless, but he just got a job on a big network show. And I can't say what the show is because you'll guess who it is. Okay. And we were so happy for him. We were just happy he's got this big gig and he's going to make, he's going to make money, and he's doing 20 episodes a year on I can't remember whether it was CBS or ABC, one of those big shows, right?
Yeah.
And then Javier, being the writer that he is, pointed out, he says, you do realize your job is to speak pages of exposition, and the lead actor will then turn around and go, you're not right. This is actually how we're going to do it every single time. And I watched the show, and for about 9 episodes, he literally had to pour his guts out into these scenes, only to have an extraordinary actor go, nah, do this. I mean, the response was always this, and I'm like, you poor bastard. We were laughing so hard.
But, really earning his money.
It's just painful. But listen, I cannot tell you how much joy the writers, I mean, from Shoshana and Bunny Barons and all these people who have written when they were working, either Supernatural or whatever, or knew me from then or did whatever. When I got to Doom Patrol, the writers are just phenomenal.
I know. So how many episodes did you do of that? I haven't ever watched it because it was on the DC thing, and now it's on HBO Max, and now I can watch it. So now I would have dived in.
It'll blow your mind. It will blow your mind. Not that he needs any shouting about, but Brendan Fraser is extraordinary. And
he's really having a moment now.
Well, he's having a moment, not just because of anything else, but this has certainly helped because he's just such a lovely actor. So so Jeremy Carver, who was showrunner of Supernatural from 8 onwards, was a writer.
Really lovely guy. Yeah.
He's a truly brilliant man and has amazing taste in people. It's kind of like Gaiman, a few other people like that. Even Joss for a long time has really good taste in writers. And he called me up and he says, do you want to do Doom Patrol? And I'm like, 60s Doom Patrol or Grant Morrison Doom Patrol? He goes, kind of Grant Morrison. I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be weird. I'm like, in a minute, I'll do it. Yeah. So we sorted it all out. He didn't talk to me. It was just became this thing where it was just sort of, will he do it? It was about the sum total of his communication with me. Wow. And I went there and I went to go play. And Timothy Dalton, Matt Bomer, Diane Guerrero, April Bowlby, Joy Van Wade, Alan Tudyk's in the first season. He's absolutely
Is he really?
Yeah, he's extraordinary in the first season. It's one of the best things I've ever seen him do.
He's such a good actor. Yeah, with the Juilliard. He's very Juilliard-y.
I didn't really get on with him because I didn't know him very well. And I never really worked with him on Firefly.
He's great.
I didn't really know him at all. And eventually I got to know him. And I think he's an absolutely superb human being. Again, fiercely loyal. But, and I'm looking at this show. And Jeremy said to me, he goes, you do realize you're not going to be working with Matt Bomer, who I did 5 years of White Collar with. He goes, you're not going to be working with Brendan. I'm like, how are you doing this? And he goes, well, I didn't pick stand-ins. I picked actors. I picked 2 phenomenal actors who nobody really knows and who are going to be the people who are going to be in those suits and doing the work with you. And I'm like, see how this works. I got to the set and Riley Shanahan, who plays Robot Man for Brendan, when I hear Brendan's voice in the final cut, I still hear Riley's delivery and his stuff. And Brendan's talked about this. He's absolutely phenomenal. His humor is the same. He's about the same size. I think he went to the same high school as Brendan, years apart. And the rhythms and the stuff. And Matt Bomer's character, which is Matthew Zook, plays that, who's just he's a great comedian. His timing's phenomenal. And Tim Dalton and I become friends and we hang out and we talk. And we're just like, these 2 have the worst jobs in Hollywood because they're doing all this work and nobody knows who they are.
So wait, because it's CGI. So basically they're just Brendan Fraser.
CGI.
It's all CGI.
No,
so
it's super suits.
Oh, super suits. So they're doing the
suits you've ever seen.
So they're doing voiceover. Basically, Brendan Fraser and Matt are doing voiceover. and then they're
Uh-huh.
acting, but you still.
Until you get to all the flashbacks, which are the relevant parts of their entire construction as characters, which is them. But the
Oh.
day-to-day performances, and Brendan's very vocal about this, and Matt Bomer's very, very vocal. It's extraordinary, and these boys are extraordinary. The
That's
first line said to me
incredible.
is exactly the same as the delivery Riley Shannon had to me.
So I
literally
wonder if
laughed
can
my
they
butt
hear
off.
them? So they act, and then later they dub them over, essentially, right?
Yeah, and then so
Wow.
Matt and Brendan revoice, and I'm telling you, they don't move far from what was there. That's how good
Yeah.
these guys are.
Wow.
So I have a relationship with. I've never worked with Matt on Doom Patrol. I've never worked with Brendan on Doom Patrol.
That is really strange. I
And they're
had
brilliant.
no idea. I just haven't I haven't seen the show. I have to watch it now.
You'll
I just
love it.
didn't. I know I will. I'll also be jealous that everybody's in all those fabulous costumes. And isn't Julie McNiven? Wasn't Julie on there?
Julie plays Matt Bomer's wife
Flashback. In the flashbacks, yeah.
He's a gay pilot, test
Wow.
pilot, and he has a family and kids, but that pervades through the first season in a way you have no idea. This is the original idea that, to be polite and frank, that X-Men was taken from.
Ooh.
This
Wait a
is
minute.
very dark. It's
Yeah.
about mental health. It's beautiful. I mean, Crazy Jane is 64 personalities. Each one has its own superpower, and none of them are particularly good.
Wow.
But she's a product of trauma.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with the mental health aspects of this.
That's incredible. And are they doing another season? How many seasons? 3?
They just wrapped season 3.
Wow.
Which I can neither confirm nor deny that I'm in.
Oh.
And I'm playing Constantine.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
Wait, you're Constantine?
Yes, because Grant Morrison wasn't allowed to put Constantine in Vertigo Comics. So he was watching Withnail and I and decided that Richard E. Grant in Withnail and I was his prototype for a character called Willoughby Kipling. And it's a Knights Templar immortal with horrible diseases that can only be killed by himself. And it's Constantine. So it's just me and Maddie Ryan showing up at conventions is hysterical. I'm like the new unnamed Constantine. I actually spoke to Grant. I was like, "You based this on Richard E. Grant?" And he goes, "Yep." I said,
"You talked to Grant Morrison?" Wait, you talked to Grant Morrison?
Yeah. Well, my buddy Liam Sharp had just done. Liam is one of my dearest friends on the planet. Liam Sharp is the artist that redid Wonder Woman, Batman the Brave and Bold, all that stuff. And then when he calls me up and he goes, "I'm doing your favorite character." And I'm like, "Oh God, no." And he goes, "Yep, Green Lantern." He goes, "You don't guess who I'm doing it with?" I'm like, "Who?" And he's like, "Grant Morrison." I said, "Oh God, this is going to be interesting." So if you read those series that they did together, it's unbelievable. It is so clever.
Wow.
Liam is a, same kind of background as me. He's a heavy metal singer from sort of the middle of England during that sort of Birmingham new wave of British heavy metal time. And he and I have become very, very close friends. And he was actually at our wedding.
Wow.
The bald-headed guy that was at our wedding and him and Grant have gone on to do that. And Grant was doing Happy and doing all that stuff, but he's not an executive producer on this show.
Yeah.
But I just sent him an email and I was like, okay, so that's this. I said, "You're not going to get Richard E. Grant from me." If you're lucky, you'll get a drunk Mad Eye Moody.
Amazing. So okay, first of all, you're wowing everybody with your name dropping, but it's not dropping, it's just that you know everybody. I cannot stress to say that Mark Sheppard knows everybody in Hollywood, especially in the geek world, because even though you act like you don't necessarily act like a geeky person, you are like truly, your geek roots are very deep. Very deep. Yeah.
But it doesn't always work. My daughter she started watching Jurassic World and is totally and absolutely 100% in love with Chris Pratt. One point I'm like, "You like him?" She goes, "I'm not in love." I mean, so I knew this was serious.
She's not in love. She's 5 years old, by the way.
She's 5 years old. And she is totally in love with his character in Jurassic World. And she actually turned around and said, "Okay, Daddy's an actor. So he must know Chris Pratt. So let's go see Chris Pratt tomorrow." I don't know Chris Pratt, so
he's like the one person you don't know.
No, there's a lot of people I don't know.
I don't know.
There's a
I
lot of
believe
people.
that you could get to anybody through 4 Degrees of Mark Sheppard.
we did do that. We have done that, but you know, it's a weird thing. I never expected to be where I'm at with what I'm doing. My dad was an actor for so many years, doing so much interesting and good stuff and more geeky stuff than I've ever done. 4 casts of Star Trek and all those amazing things he's done over the years. No longer with us, but I never expected to be doing that. And it just so happened that the genre, as we call it, which isn't really a genre, it's just the concept of fantasy, those things that aren't necessarily what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Be it past, be it future, be it a different present. Those stories are way more interesting to me to play characters in than bog standard procedurals. That being said, I did a guest star shot on what was that bloody show called? It was like Fast Lane or something. Bill Bellamy and Peter Fasinelli. And the writer on that episode was called Alexandra Cunningham. And I got a phone call years later that they wanted me to do this thing with Maria Bello. They were redoing for NBC. They were doing
she's
Prime
incredible.
Suspect.
She's so great. Suspect.
So Aidan Quinn, Maria Bello, and they did this NBC series. And it's like, and I saw the name Alex something or other as the showrunner, and I was offered it. And I show up at NBC, and this woman walks down through the whole lot of them and goes, "Hey, Mark," pulls me into a huddle with Aidan Quinn, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh God, I forgot who this was." So the Alex Cunningham that was running the show was Alexandra Cunningham. I'm sure it's Cunningham. I got it wrong. I do apologize. But so I was like, and it was just like, okay, so this is where we want to go. So she goes, "I kept you out of the pilot deliberately so we can slot you in." And they created me as the backstory for Maria Bello's father's past.
Wow.
So I went and did that as a New York Irish mob guy. And I had so much fun doing it. They canceled the show. But Alex Cunningham, again, another one of the writers that had worked with me years before that said, it'd be really good for this. It'd be Mark.
Yes.
And
yes.
Those are the things that are magic to me. They're magical.
But I do want to talk to you about your COVID times, because I have had a really great time taking time off, and it's
you're terrible. You hate you don't hate people, but you hate lots of people.
I do. And I've had a great time. I'm like, wow, unplugging from everything, meetings and auditions and everything. I'm like, I've had the best year. I'm ready to get out a little bit, but you are such a social person. How has your COVID been? How have you dealt with it? I assume now that you've been talking is you've been working constantly. So
no, I did a bit of doom, which I can't admit to.
Yeah.
But when conventions shut down, that stopped my plans for a lot. I mean, at one point I had $35,000 or $40,000 worth of bank tickets just from conventions I couldn't do.
Wow.
So what's amazing, they've all been rebooked and all been done. So I will get to see you guys in all those places we didn't get to go. We will.
Yeah. I saw that you're doing like a last minute one in Atlanta. Is that next weekend?
I'm doing one in Atlanta this weekend, which is any opportunity I get to go see people. I love that. Now, look, I'm not a naturally gregarious person. I'm a massively shy human being.
What?
The bluffs is I have massive anxiety and I'm a depressive and all those things. But I guess what it is I'm so grateful. I'm 31 years sober, and I'm so grateful for the life that I have and the things that I have. And it's all down to the support of what it is that I do. Mm-hmm. And I was used for years by Supernatural to do the serious talking, or do the bits at the end explaining why we care so much about the Supernatural family. It was me who came up with Supernatural family, because I hate the word fan, because fan comes from fanatic, and we're back to the days of watching, much as I love the guys on Channel 5, but people say, "Oh, look, funny people in furry suits and costumes," and it was a point
I don't like that. It's not
now
right.
The geeks have taken over the earth, and as we've said, and we knew it would, and now we have a position of power way more. The viewers, the viewers have a position of power way more than ever before. Mm-hmm. And I owe a public that. I come from live music and live theater, and I always had an audience. And when I stumble, they that's the energy, that organic energy between the audience and yourself is sacred, and you don't get that making television with 150-year friends.
I
You
mean,
get
I
it
was,
going to
yeah.
a convention and talking. And every actor I know that had never done conventions, like Matt Smith and people like that who had never done conventions, they're like, I don't know. Just people have told me, is it a bit sad? Is it difficult? Is it? And I'm like, you have no idea, my
It's
friend.
so much fun. It really is
It's-
energy. It's
I
the
get
energy.
out there and I'm Morton Downey Jr. with a microphone. I'm out in the audience and harassing babies and doing. It's so much fun.
You get that kind of high that you do improv or
and it's
just being, and it's
organic.
such, yeah, it's inspiring too, because it makes me want to go do more things that add to that sort of relationship. You know, when my reps that I don't have acting reps right now. I haven't had them for a couple of years because I just couldn't find people I connected with. But you know, they would only send me out for half-hour comedy. I'm just like, I understand that I'm good at comedy, but I want to stay in this world that I've made a name for myself here. You know, I like being the quippy one, but there are opportunities for that in the world that I've already established. Because God forbid I, you know, get on a show that has no, you know, intersection with the people I like hanging around with.
You and me, a nice genre buddy cop show set somewhere in the future or the past, somewhere interesting. You and me, on Sci-Fi tomorrow. Pitch it, guys. Let's get it done.
I want to pitch me. My dream job is as a supernatural coroner. So it's
love it.
So Mark, you're one of the partners, okay? And you've got
I'm not the dead body. I don't care.
You're not the dead body. No, you're either the police chief or the supervisor, or maybe even the irascible guy who precedes them at all the crimes. Let the two leads do the daily work. We don't need to do the 12, 14-hour days. Okay.
Just
they can do those.
Supernatural. Let them do let them do the meaningful looks and the love and the and the I love you, bro part. And then we can get on with fun.
And you're the irascible, maybe you know what? I know. You're the father of one of the partners, but you're also the chief of police. You know, like you're the head, but then you're having to be a supervisor to your daughter, who you have a very strained relationship with.
We're getting an interesting Batman vibe out of this. There's a certain character in Batman that's mine. I was talking to Moffat and Mark Gatiss about, because once upon a time the idea of doing Super Who-Lock, everybody was so excited by the idea of Super Who-Lock.
Such a good idea.
So they wanted me, because I was Super and Who, they wanted me to be Super Who-Lock. Mm-hmm. And you have no idea how close it was. You have no idea how close it was. We tried so many things, but Moffat doesn't write like that. And Gatiss is very, very honest and wonderful human being. And we'd have these conversations where Moffat would go, would you please stop telling your fans to write you into Sherlock? Because you know I don't work like that. And I'm like, I know you don't, but I can't stop people having what they want.
You can't.
And the character I wanted to play in Sherlock Holmes, Gatiss made his way to find me in San Diego, and he came over and he said, listen, we love you, you know that. He said, but we're not touching that character, because they knew that the movie was going to touch that character. Not Moriarty. I wasn't interested in playing Moriarty. Then Moriarty was genius.
Oh God, so good.
Yeah, Andrew's wonderful. But and also there, Charles Augustus Magnuson was one of the greatest episodes I've ever seen. The Mind Palace. The Mind Palace episode. If you haven't seen it, see it. You'll love it. But the idea is that I wanted to play Sebastian Moran, the second most dangerous man in London, next to Moriarty, who was the empty room was the original story. He shot the guy through the window.
What? And they didn't want to take you up on it?
No, they weren't going to touch it because they knew it was going to either Guy Ritchie or whoever was doing. They were going to use that.
Because they knew that they were doing it, and the Robert Downey Jr. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and I was like, and they said, look, we know. But it was, it was the same thing with Battlestar. I was like, I'll sweep the floors. And they were like, we don't know, we're not sure. And Ike was so nice about it. And then Ron was like, okay, I got this thing for you. And that was the game. And I'm disappointed by that.
Well, there's not much you can do. Like you can, I mean, I've had people in very big positions of power said, I really thought it would be a great idea to do a spinoff with Charlie. But, the executives didn't like, I'm not going to go into details, but they're like, yeah.
There's never been a spin-off of Supernatural that's worked. And there's a reason. And it's really simple. And it explains so much of things. And there's no disrespect to anybody who's either tried. I love all of those people I've ever worked with. We're part of a giant family, including you, and always have been. That's not the point. The point is it's about the Winchester brothers. And when you forget it's about the Winchester brothers, it's over. And the reason why Castiel, especially, and Crowley as a secondary note are so loved by the Supernatural family.
Yeah.
Is that they love the Winchesters.
Yeah. No, same thing with Charlie. You know, I think I have high hopes for the new spinoff that they're working on because Robbie Thompson's doing it and he invented Charlie, and Robbie's so brilliant and he loves, so I can at least have hope that there is a special quality and a special relationship I have with Robbie because he's just a wonderful person.
In order for that lot to bring me into anything, hell would have had to have frozen over. To be honest, I left under my own auspices at a very odd time. It was spun very weirdly. It is what it is.
You know what? Time goes on, and it really is.
I just didn't want. Listen, the reason why I didn't go and do the Supernatural conventions, and the reason why I didn't do that, because every damn question would have been the same thing. And my friends who were working on the show, who I love, don't need somebody in there being asked constantly, "Are you coming back? Are you coming back? Why did are you coming back?"
Yeah.
The time is done. It was finished. It was over. It was time to do something else. And I'm so proud of doing it. I'm so proud of being part of it, and I'm proud for my friends for what they've done with it. I love you.
Yeah,
I love your
it ended wonderfully, except we didn't get a wrap party, which is kind of a bummer. No, so okay, so you did?
Yeah, it was my wedding. Was the wrap party?
Oh, it was your wedding? Yeah. So tell me about your music. So have you been able to do a lot more music during COVID? Because you haven't. No.
Wow. They really are diverting flights from Burbank over my house.
I've been muting my thing because a couple of them have gone over my head too.
Well, at least people are flying, which is a good thing. No, I was playing with Robin Hitchcock when I left Supernatural. Robin called me up and said, "Do you want to go play?" I'm like, "Great, we haven't played since 1982. Let's go out and play." So we did, and it was fun to do. And I played I played venues in England that I hadn't played since 1981 or two. And I played on a lot of his stuff and know a lot of his stuff, and it was just fun. And that gave me the opportunity to go back to the vendors that I knew. So I was supported by Remo and Zildjian and Fender and everything, and they were just amazing to us.
Yeah.
So, I get the luxury of I don't have to travel in a van.
Now, so what? But tell me, take me backwards, because I did you start out? So your dad is always an actor. Mm-hmm. Did you start out wanting to become an actor like him, or did you wanted to be a musician? I
was a musician. I was a paid musician at 15. I was making records on Rough Trade.
Amazing.
1980. I was with the TV personalities in 1980, and I played with Nicky Sudden and all these bands that other people are influenced by and stuff. And I played with Robin when I was 17.
Yeah. Amazing.
And it was just, it's something I've always loved doing. And my dad came to see me play the Troubadour with Robin. The last time he seen me play Robin was 82. Mm-hmm. And he was like, "You're just loving it. Every minute of it is fun for me. To play live is just the greatest enjoyment. I love playing drums." So
yeah, I've never seen you play in person.
When we did the Supernatural convention.
Oh yeah, we did. You played a couple of the ones that I played. You played on stage. That was a long time ago.
Was that, Loud and Swain are a great band. They're an LA band.
Yeah.
They've been around 20 odd years, and I love Rob and I love Billy and I love all those guys. They're just superb guys. Yeah. But they were being treated, with all due respect, they were being treated as a sort of house wedding band. I think the Elastic Waist Band was the name of the band. And it became this sort of thing where I had to cajole Gary and Adam into actually using a real PA rather than the vocal mics that have been around for people to do.
They've definitely leveled up. They've definitely leveled up. Like it's a real concert.
53-foot trailer and sponsored by every major music manufacturer in the country. And it was just a great show and it was great to do. And I was happy to be part of that. It was about taking it from them not being taken seriously to them being taken seriously.
No, I mean, it's the thing. It's the thing of the weekend. I haven't done a Supernatural convention in so long. I mean, not doing conventions, it was like such a regular part of my world. And I think my first one will be Kansas City. And next weekend is your first one back?
This weekend.
Wow.
This weekend, and then I'm in Vegas. I'm doing the Star Trek in Vegas because somebody dropped out. So I was like, yeah, I'll go.
Ooh. So that's a world I would love to be a part of, Star Trek.
See, I just got a new car. So I managed to manipulate the buying and selling opportunities during the pandemic, and when I can actually do this if I'm really clever, and I sold some things and traded some things and got myself a nice new Aston Martin.
Oh, I saw a picture of it. It is so. Is that is it the coupe? Did you post a picture of it? Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's the most ridiculous car I've ever driven in my life. It's my dream car. It's my wife's dream car. Is why I bought it.
Oh.
And it is ridiculous. I got a 12-cylinder, 630 horsepower.
How do you fit your kid in there? Is it 2-door?
She's in the back. No, it's got 2 little seats in the back. She likes it. Go faster.
I mean, it's perfect. The back seat is perfect for a 5-year-old, right? How fast have you taken your car?
I can't tell you that. My car will do 211 miles an hour. But I have motorbikes that go faster than that. So
wow.
I have a lot of Ducati motorcycles amongst other motorcycles, and I'm lucky enough to be a Ducati ambassador. I'm proud of that because I ride Ducatis anyway, and they know what I have.
Yeah.
And so I have one of the new Superleggeras, the V4 Superleggera. I also have 2 other Superleggeras from the past, and there's my Suzuki RR, if you know your bikes. I have a lot of Ducatis, and they're all ridden. I ride them all. The Superleggera is.
Where do you keep them all?
In my garage.
How many bikes?
In my garage right now?
Yeah.
14 or so.
How do you fit that many bikes in your garage?
So you've been in the garage.
I know, garage. But I've never seen that many bikes in them. I think the garage was closed when I visited.
No.
But next time I come over, I'm looking at these bikes. Okay.
I'm trying to convince my wife to leave her Range Rover outside.
And what does she say?
Okay. But I have some old bikes as well. But what it was, I got sick of having depreciating assets, and I have some taste, and I was like, you know what? I got a little bit of money, I'll buy this, and I managed to get things at the bottom of markets, and I love them, and I look after them. No,
you're very savvy. You're savvy with your career, and you're savvy with
finance. I'm savvy with my career. If I was savvy with my career, I'd be in a very different place. But I am blessed. It's the only one word for it that I can give you. Those writers, Robbie and everybody else, they've all gifted me things that have changed my life, my outlook, etc. And I'm so proud to know them. They are the creators, They
are, yeah. We are at the mercy, not the mercy, but at the privilege of what the writers give us. And God forbid, like I'm sure you've been given some scripts, and you were just like, how do I say these lines? Because they are hard. This is not well written. And
Jensen once asked me on a plane, sitting on a plane, and he goes, "How come your off-camera dialogue's always perfect? And it comes around to you, you need like 3 takes to do it." This is a guy that did soaps when he was a kid. So I mean, he can do 68 pages of rubbish in an afternoon. I mean,
I don't get it. They're just like this.
But he's better than that. But I'm saying he does have that muscle that's incredible.
Yeah.
And I've got it because I said the nicest thing I could say to him. I said, because basically you're going, "I love you, bro. Blood is thicker than motor oil. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, dude, whatever." You're doing all that stuff. And I'm the one that actually has the plot. And most of the stuff I'm saying is crap. And I have to find a way to make what it is that I'm saying make sense to me.
Yeah.
So it takes me time to find it. And it's not always conducive in television. That if I've got this massive speech, like my favorite thing is the end of season 8. If you ever watch Supernatural, watch the end of season 8, me tied to a chair. And it's this massive set of stuff. And both Jared and I agree, and Jensen agrees, it's the best stuff we ever did. And it was shot in sequence. So it was the ability to build on this thing.
Yeah.
And it was so organic and so special to do. The crew was 100% in on it. They didn't talk between takes. They didn't talk at all on that set because it was so heavy what we were doing. It was so dark and we were all in it all the time. That's great writing, great support, and it works. And that's the way to do it. And then a lot of the time I was talking with Tim Dalton. They bring Tim and I in to do a scene, and we've got pages of clever, whimsical crap, brilliantly written. And, we're brought in at 1:00 in the morning to do it in 25 minutes because we're the actors and we can do that.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of room to hit those home runs. And it's very, very difficult to get that. But the writers that I love that have either become showrunners or execs on shows, and especially if they're allowed on the sets, which is the best way to be, see very quickly. Like John Rogers, I was doing a Walk and Talking Leverage. John Rogers goes, shit, I put too many hard constants in that speech. And I'm like, you can't take it out. I'm screwed.
Yeah.
They kept stumbling in a particular place. He goes,
Yeah, yeah,
I won't do that to you again. I
yeah.
said, I'll get it. It'll just take me a couple of takes. But it has to make sense to me. It's like a story. It's like singing a song. I need to feel whatever it is that I'm, gonna
Yeah.
feel about what I'm doing. And
And you don't get that like have you done plays lately or
not
I mean I'm sure
lately.
you yeah, that's the thing. I keep wanting to do a play because I'm like you kind of forget that there is that sort of captive like magic where you just are like just let me do my thing because when you're doing TV acting, I think no one quite understands that you do it in pieces. Like I did a guest star where one of the actors literally just couldn't deliver their dialogue and we stopped and started and then finally it got to me and I had to do like massive info dumps and like being in that environment you're just like please let me get through my dialogue so just give me a take that's clean-ish
Well, that's where
and
talent comes in. Is that the ability to deal with the compromise, with the lack of perfect circumstances. But when you have really good TV directors, funny enough, Spate's one of those. He's brilliant at it.
uh,
Um,
Spates is a very good director.
he's one of the best natural directors there are. Because he wants
Yeah.
the actors to succeed. And the
Hmm.
fundamental principle is a director is supposed to make a place where magic can happen.
Yeah.
And that's the idea. And I've directed and I've done what I've done. And it conspires against the art. Television conspires against the art of good theater, I guess.
Hmm.
And you have to find a way through it. You pick your way through it. And you're just hoping to the best of your ability, something's good. And through the pandemic, I had two friends who were both in my bubble and be at different times. And Tim Dalton would be here and we'd drink tea and watch movies and do what we do. And my buddy Dave, Dave Mitchell, is a big voice actor, does a lot of stuff. But you reanalyze it, and by the time you finished analyzing how difficult it is to do, you give up on the idea and just go, oh, screw it, we'll just do it anyway. I mean,
Just get through it.
yeah,
Just
exactly.
get through it.
But you know who you are, and you know what
Yeah.
it is, and you know what's going on, and suddenly little gems of whimsy sneak in and do that. It's
Yeah,
like,
I think that's what's wonderful about I mean, I'm sure you've been a series regular for a lot and
no, I haven't,
you haven't been a series regular?
not a lot.
I've
They
never
forced
been
me into
one.
being a series
No
regular
one's
on
ever put a
Superman.
ring on this. So
Nobody put a ring on me for years. They made me a series regular in Bionic Woman for absolutely no reason whatsoever. They made me while I was shooting Battlestar. They series regular in Soldier of Fortune back in 90 whatever.
yeah.
That's it.
That's it?
I'm the guy you bring in season 2. I'm the guy you bring in to
I know
close.
that's me too. That I
I
feel
know.
I used to get known as the girl who tanked shows, but I'm just like, no, because they brought me in to boost the ratings.
They put you in too late to change
Too
what
late.
people
Yes,
already
thank
thought of
you.
the stuff.
Yes,
Well, Javier
that's
always says to me, he goes, I never write you into the pilot because they always want some pretty guy who's not that good. And so I
yeah.
let them do that. And then I write you into episode 1. Then hopefully they work out they need to keep you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. It kind of almost feels like, well, that's why I kind of always go back to creating my own opportunities.
Always the
And whether it's
bridesmaid.
just I am always the bridesmaid. It's really honestly, I almost want to put my foot down. Like when I go back and act again, I'm just like, you know what? Somebody's got to put a ring on it, or I'm just going to stay home streaming video games because I have a good time doing this.
DJ Quall said that to me one time. I thought it was the most brilliant thing he ever said. He has a price that he wants to do a show. And if he doesn't get that price, he isn't going to do it. It's not worth it for him. And I get it. I did 16 guest star shots in 1 year a few years ago. 16. If I'd have been a series regular, I would have made 8 times the money.
It's true. It's true. And also there is a very, I know that you have some anxiety issues. I have a ton of anxiety issues. And being the new kid in school that many times is psychologically, it's really hard because nobody wants to get to know you any more than just like, hey, because they know you're not there for long. And so you're kind of always on, and everybody expects you to bring it because you don't get the leeway that anyone else does because they're regulars with their friends.
I did an episode of Burn Notice, which I love. I'm the only character ever that doesn't know who Michael Weston is, even by the end. I have no idea what happened to me, but he did it. Yeah. Only the audience knows that he did it to me. I did an armed robbery in a bank, and he happens to be in the bank at the time, and the whole thing falls apart, and I have no idea he did it to me. It's just a lovely idea. So I went down to Miami to go shoot it and whatever. And first words out of Bruce's mouth, our dear friend Bubba Hotep looks at me and goes, Dick of the Week. I'm like, thanks. And that's what it is. I mean, it's to a point, but my job is to be the most interesting 27 pages or 20 minutes or 30 minutes of that 1 hour that you're putting out there. My job, when they come up to me and they go, well, it's kind of all about you. And I'm like, well, isn't that what you pay me for?
Yeah.
You wanted me to hold a shovel and be at the back. I don't think you'd want to pay me that kind of money, or probably pick somebody who's better at doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a lot of responsibility. It's a lot harder, but it is flattering that people think you can carry it, because honestly, a lot of places will go, I think a lot of places will go a more boring route and they'll just pick somebody who you don't remember at all. But the better TV is when you really cast people you're invested in, even if they have one line. And so there
are some cameos very worth doing.
Exactly. We have a couple of questions before we have you picked up any new hobbies over this past year of quarantine?
New hobbies?
Yeah, anything new? Anything new enter your life this last year?
I'm old. I don't change much.
Was it nice to be around? Did you get more time around your kiddo?
Oh, I hate my children.
You have the best kids. I remember
they're too smart. I found that photograph the other day of you and Will and Max
in Rome.
Yeah. No, in England, I think, on a couch.
Oh, okay.
Playing a video game.
Yes. And that was really fun.
Freaked you out with some jump scare thing.
Yes. I just remember us being in a basement at GymCon and all of us and sitting with your kid and just being super impressed with how smart and just together they were, and just, you're a real irascible person, but you're obviously a good dad. Irascible. Curmudgeonly. I mean, have you, so you've just been kind of just hanging out?
Yeah, I'm not a virtuoso fiddle player, or
I haven't practiced in months. It's there making me feel guilty, just like your drum set, probably.
You got an amplifier over there. What does that
I do. I have an electric violin right here and an amp. And then over here I have a mandolin, a ukulele.
You went ukuleleing, I know that.
I was. For a while I was learning some. The problem is that I need external motivation to do a lot of things, and playing the ukulele or the violin, it's like, why am I doing this? I could play video games. You're a big gamer too, though. You're one of the only people I remember when we were in a car with Zach Levi and a Star Fury convention, and you wowed me with everybody and all the things you knew about, especially Xbox, because you were friends with somebody who was like the head of the studio or something.
No, you know what it was? I did the first ever first-person shooter for the Wii.
That's it. Maybe that's when we actually met, because I remember that.
No,
that was the first.
We first met at somebody's office that you happened to be there at the same time.
That was the old manager, but then we reacquainted ourselves in the car in England, going to that. And I remembered that because that was the first year of Chuck, and Zach Levi went and did a stunt to try to get his show picked up, and he was serving Subway sandwiches to people.
Yeah,
and we went to help him.
I remember that. It was brilliant, and
it was great.
I ended up doing Chuck.
You got hired on Chuck? Nobody hires me. What is this?
I did 3 episodes on Chuck.
What the hell?
Brandon Routh was walking toward. I had a fight in an elevator with Yvonne and him. And I was the bad guy's leader at the time.
Oh.
It was so Blofeld. It was the total Blofeld moment. But we had a massive gunfight in an elevator.
See, that's what you do really well. I know that you're not a bad guy, really, but you play a good bad guy, and everybody always needs a bad guy.
Well, it's language, that's all.
Yeah.
It's the Alan Rickman rule. Give the guy who can speak.
Yeah. One day you told me an acting tip about, and I can't remember it, but I found it was always like you have an internal monologue of just F you or something like that.
Kind of. Well, my entire career comes down to 2 things, as far as I'm concerned, which is you either want to play the man that sells them out before they left the planet, right? It's Dr. Zachary Smith in Lost in Space. Mm-hmm. I nearly played Dr. Zachary Smith in Lost in Space in Earth 2 back in the day.
Oh, wow.
Guys love the idea. And the other guy is the last sane man in the universe, which is ultimately Eddie Albert in Green Acres. So you could basically say my career is punctuated by Eddie Albert in Green Acres and David Warner in Time Bandits.
Oh boy, that's pretty amazing. That's okay. I have a question for you. Okay, we're gonna go through a couple more questions. What piece of fiction would you most love to portray a character in? That's a really
Can't
good
tell you
one.
that. I can never tell you that, because the reason why is
What?
things come up and things get close and things get done, and I love the surprise of being able to surprise people with we actually managed to do something. And there are so many wonderful things out there that haven't been done. That was the fact I started a Twitter thing with Gaiman. He was doing Sandman.
I'm surprised you're not in the Sandman or one of the Sandmans.
He publicly turned around and goes, "Oh, you'd be interested?" I mean, everyone went nuts. And I was like, of course. And he and I have always had this really interesting relationship. We walked down the street in San Francisco once, singing obscure lyrics to Ian Dury and the Blockhead songs as we went to go have sushi. I love that man. I truly love that man's talent and ability. He's an extraordinary.
He is phenomenal.
And he was like, well, maybe I'll write you into season 2. I mean, it's like, it's the way it goes. It's like, I'd love to work with him. I always would. So
I have a feeling that's going to happen. Or maybe
so.
just back in the Good Omens, they're doing another season, right?
Yeah, that's not my vibe. I'm Crowley, so I can't really.
Yeah, you can't do that. That's the problem. Now you've been hampered to only be Satan or the devil.
No, not Satan. Satan's okay. Mark.
Whatever. I don't watch the show.
I'm the king of hell. I'm the middle management crossroads.
But you're hell adjacent. Any of the satanic hell adjacent characters, you kind of like, you can't do that again. Okay, I have another question.
Go on.
Have you ever done or will you do audiobooks? Because we're having a lot of people in chat swooning over your voice and wanting to hear you talk to them for hours.
It's weird. I have a wonderful new voiceover agent, Dean Panaro.
Oh.
And Dean was like working out why I wasn't working. And then suddenly my buddy was sitting and talking to Ivy Eisenberger. You might remember back in the day.
Yes, Ivy Eisenberger, I know very well.
Well, Ivy, I hadn't spoken to in 20 years, I said, call her up. I know her. And he called her up. She was offering him a job, some voiceover piece.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, I've been trying to get you on Call of Duty for 5 years. And I was like, wow. I had no idea. And she goes, look, this is the way it works. And this is this. And I'm like, and it became a thing. And then the next thing I know, Dan and Amanda are like, let's do this. And I did. But here's the fun thing. I was doing 420 lines in 2.5 hours or so. I did 2,200 lines on that. And I found out I can actually do this stuff really well. And I love it. I truly love the process. I love the people that work in that area.
It's so fun to do a voiceover, and you have such an amazing voice.
Well, thank you. The trouble is I'm very distinctive.
Yeah.
So I don't disappear well. I've got friends who are incredible voice actors who blend brilliantly into what it is they do. And I still sound like me, whether I'm playing American or playing any of the other things. It's just one of those, if you want Mark Sheppard, I guess you get Mark Sheppard.
Yeah.
But, my father's voice was in this register, so he talked constantly like this. But there are a few people who go like, push me around, make me have some fun. But I'm starting to really love it.
I would really love to hear. Audiobook. I've done one, and believe me, it is a different skill set. You can't imagine it's a marathon. You're kind of like racing, but you're still trying to just look at it's 7 days of just talking for 8 hours a day, and it is a lot. But I think you'd be really good at it.
Yeah,
a good challenge.
Paid a lot of money for that time, but
yeah, you can do it. They'll get you in there.
I'll give it a go. Anyone wants me to do it, but no, please don't write in asking me to read your phone book to you over Cameo.
There's a lot of people who want you to read them to sleep over here. I don't want to keep you any longer because we are up. Our time is up, but I could talk to you all day. Let's do this again. I would love that, and also I would love to see. I would love to see you and your family in person.
Come hang out. Do
a live
stream from the house.
We do it. I would love to do that.
I got plenty of technology. Listen,
now, where can people come and meet you? Can you please tell people what your conventions are so they can come and meet you in person if they're nearby?
I'm posting pretty quick. I know I'm doing Atlanta on the weekend at the comic convention, the Atlanta Comic Convention this weekend. I'll be there Saturday and Sunday. I know I got a bunch of stuff coming up. Knoxville.
Somebody said Kentucky?
Yeah, I'm doing Kentucky. I'm doing a gig in Kentucky coming up. And I've got 3 trips to Europe. I've got Star Fury, which I love. I've got Paris, which I love doing, which will be good.
I would love to do Paris.
And I've got you should actually. I'll talk to her.
Hey, talk to the person. I'd love that.
I will. She's really cool. And I'm doing my favorite, which is Wales Comic Con, which will be in
Wales is another one I'd love to go to. I guess
I told Jamie you're interested.
I would love that. I'm supposed to go to Sweden, and
I've done that one. It's wonderful.
Is it wonderful? I've never been. I mean, to me, going to Europe, I want to live there so badly. But anytime I could go and get my,
I was doing a convention out there. I don't remember if it was Sweden or I think it was Copenhagen. I was in Denmark with Mads Mikkelsen, right? Who is not only delicious and beautiful, but a really really nice guy. So I made him FaceTime my wife. She couldn't speak. She was just crying nonstop for like 10 minutes.
She is so sweet. You are, yes, both amazing. Well, I can't wait to see you. Thank you for taking the time out, and everybody go and see Mark if you see him in person, and follow him at Real Mark Sheppard.
Yeah, you can always find me on Cameo if you need your birthdays and stuff. I think I've sent happy.
Yeah, cameos are fun. Yeah,
I love it. I love it. So listen, I want to thank you. I want to thank your families for followers there, because it's been wonderful. I want to thank your family.
Yeah, thank you.
Just keep doing what you're doing. I love it. And we'll do a second one. We'll catch up on some.
I'd love it. I love it. Let's do it. Okay, you guys, that was a wonderful talk with my friend Mark Sheppard. My next podcast will probably be live on August 17th with a points person. So if you want to figure out how to use credit card points to travel for free, come watch us live or listen to the next one. And then the one after that will be a solo podcast. Thanks for your feedback and listening. And all right, I will see you later. Bye.